Welcome to the Radical Responsibility Revolution podcast. This is where we are transforming lives, inspiring you to reclaim your health, your wealth, and the power of your mind. Here we share actionable insights, inviting you to turn inwards and design your life of purpose and abundance. Welcome back to another episode of Radical Responsibility, a Revolution. And today's conversation goes straight to the heart. My guest, Maria Belanic, is a bereaved mother and certified grief educator who is part of a growing movement changing how we understand grief, especially the kind of grief that never really leaves. And it isn't just what you think. After losing her son following an 11-year battle with cancer, Maria began questioning everything that we've been told about loss. The idea that you should move on, get over it, go back to normal. Her work now helps parents and others understand that grief isn't something you fix, it's something you carry. And in her words, it's about learning to carry love and loss in the same breath. So today we're talking about what grief really looks like, why our culture gets it wrong, and how people can keep living without pretending that they're okay. So, Maria, I'm so glad that you're here today. And I want to start just by talking about your background. You come from an immigrant family. And I'm not here to be political in any way about this version of immigration, but I also think it's poignant to bring a perspective of your experience of growing up not feeling good enough. And you said you were painfully shy. So I want to talk about what that felt like being in another country. How do you think that patina colored then your life and leading up to this process of grief?
Well, thank you, Debbie, and I'm honored to be here with you and have this conversation. I was
Yeah,
called Grief is My Lane, and the more I can talk about it, it lights me up. And you're so
absolutely.
right. I always like people's backgrounds, and I
Yeah.
know because I'm Canadian, we do always ask people more about what's your background because the majority of us know that we come from immigrant stock. And it is quite interesting when the sense of I look at people who leave their country, the country that they were born in, that they're familiar with, and they don't leave it because they're on a high, like everything's going well for them. They leave
Right.
it because either there's no work opportunities or something's happening in their country. So they go somewhere else where the opportunity to work is there, the opportunity to grow depending on in their field. And many immigrants came to North America because it was a newer country. There were opportunities. And that's what my parents did. The only thing is they come with the new opportunities, but their mindset is still the mindset of the old country, so to speak. How they grew up is what they
Yeah.
bring with them. And even
Yeah.
though they assimilate, inside their family home, inside their nucleus, they are
Yeah.
still carrying on as if they still lived in the village or the country that they were from.
Do you think that that was part of why you had this profound shyness when you were growing up
It
or
might
born
be
with?
a bit of both. I actually failed grade one, so I had to do grade one
Yeah.
twice. My
Yes.
parents had put me in a private school. The nuns said she doesn't understand English, and it's better to keep her one grade rather than sending her forward. We had to stand when we answered a question. You're
Right.
standing in the classroom and
Wow.
everyone's looking at you. And if you get it
Wow.
wrong, you feel like, oh, what a dummy. So you just want to be silent.
That's fascinating. Well, let's jump right into the heart of your work because you say that grief is about carrying love and loss in the same breath. First of all, let's talk about your story of grief. We can't just launch into grief and not have an understanding of how you got there. So let's talk about your son
Well,
came
thank
to do
you.
what you're doing now.
Oh, thank you, Debbie. Yeah, I mean, my son lived with cancer for 11 years. So Stefan was diagnosed when he was 16. So he was 16 years old when he was actually diagnosed with an incurable rare blood cancer.
And did
And
you know that in the beginning that it was
in
uncurable?
yes, yeah. We
Wow.
knew it was a rare blood cancer.
Wow. Hmm.
And so, and they had kind of told us they didn't know what was going to happen. They had
Hmm.
only seen it in men that were in their late 60s. And
Wow.
so at 16, he was the youngest, and they had no clue where it was going to go. What, and so they kind of went, we don't
Wow.
know what's going to happen. So we
Wow.
kind of knew that. And even though, yes, we had, like, he had different crises, like so many appointments, so many tests, so many surgeries, like emergency surgeries. Like, so there was crises,
Hmm.
there was the ups and downs. You never knew what was going to come next.
Oh,
So we lived in a constant roller coaster of sort of stress, but that stress
yeah.
becomes part of you. So you take it
Yeah.
as
Yeah.
part of life. And
Hmm.
not only are we dealing with that, we're also dealing with the rest of family life of what
Mm.
happens. We're also dealing, I mean, at the time, I was a realtor. And so then my own business in real estate. So dealing with that, and it just becomes second nature. So I looked at it going, I didn't realize that between all the stresses and the tensions, it was just adding more layers on top of one another. It's like a layer cake, but a layer cake of stress and tension.
Yeah. Such a good cake.
And so you don't realize it because it's just an added layer that comes on top. And you're
Hmm.
surviving. Because that's
Yeah.
basically, you don't stop to look at what am I doing this. The only thing that I
Hmm.
did do for my son was reframe the word cancer to condition. Instead of
Hmm.
saying he had a blood cancer, it was you have a blood condition. It made it manageable. It made it easier to say. And it was also a word that if you explained it to someone else what he had, nobody batted an eye,
Yeah.
right? Because when you think about it, you're like, so if I tell someone that I have a blood cancer, all they have is a gazillions
Yeah.
of questions.
And also that poor you conversation or look or feeling. So that's brilliant. Yeah, I love that.
Yeah, yeah. So condition just felt like, oh, okay, you know, what's next? And that just made it, in regards to manageable, a little bit easier. And even for my son who was at 16, it made it easier for him for his life. Yes, we did other things, other crises came up. I mean, all the different surgeries that he had, all the different, even for preparation. Because it's not only because a blood cancer has to do with platelets, not even just the blood, it's the platelets. It's so many different layers also of what he needs. He needs plasma, he needs this, he needs that. And so I always go, thank you to all the blood donors.
Yes.
It's a gift of life.
100%. Yeah, it truly is. I think I want to just set with this for a second about because this is what we as women do. Like this is who I talk to mostly are women. I mean, every once in a while I talk to a man. No, just kidding. But women, we just keep barreling through. And no matter what, we are going to get done what needs to get done and to our own detriment. So I'm sure there's going to be you're going to share with me something about how that manifested itself. But when we are, especially when there's children involved, we are going to do whatever it takes to take care of those children to our own exclusion. And then you press that down and press that stress. And as you said, it just became a layer cake. So, what do you, when you're working with people with grief, because they probably have done something similar prior to the grief, unless it's, a quick, unexpected death or a situation like that, how do you process that for somebody that's not they don't even know what's going on because it hits you like a brick wall a
Mhm.
lot of times and you just don't even know how to deal with it.
And that's so true. It does hit you, and none of us know how to deal with anything because a lot of people go, oh, with an illness, you're prepared. No,
Hmm.
you're not. You're actually in survival mode. And you don't even
Right.
know that you're in survival mode. Because as you say, we just keep continuing on. We're like that energizer bunny, right?
Yeah.
That just keeps going on and on and on. And a lot of times it's that time when all of a sudden something happens,
Mm.
we shut down. A lot of
Yeah.
times, and that's what happened with my body. It after my son died, it shut down because all
Yeah.
of a sudden The stress is at a high level like this. You're so
Yeah.
used to going at this level that all of a sudden it stops and you're frozen.
Yeah.
And so it's that flight or fight
Flight or fight. Yeah,
that
I
the body
actually,
goes through. Yeah.
the podcast I was recording right before this, we were talking about this same thing. We go like the Energizer Bunny, and I often say it's like the frog being boiled. You put a
Mm.
frog in cold water and everything's fine, and then you're just turning up the heat, and then it's boiling, and we don't even realize it. And the problem is that our body does, and it says I'm done. And especially when you give it that one moment after. So tell us what happened as a result of that with your body particularly.
Well, actually, so I have a new F word.
Okay, I love F words.
Yep. It's called functioning.
Mm,
We function. On the outside, we are functioning. We show up. We look like we have it all together. And inside, it's a mess. It's a hot mess. And
yeah.
we have no idea. So we're living in confusion, frustration, going of what's next, afraid to step forward,
Hmm.
and wanting to find ways to get back to what was or what we
Yeah.
knew. Because
Yeah.
all of a sudden we're in this world that looks the same, but
Yeah.
it's not.
Hmm.
And we don't know how to function anymore, but we do as a facade. So someone else gave me the new word. She goes, there's two F words. It's a functional facade.
Oh, wow. And
Yeah.
the world's not seeing that. They see us because we have the facade on, and yet we're crumbling inside. And that's one of the most devastating kinds of illness, if you will, that we have created for ourselves, especially as women. We're really good at faking it. So I think this is just brilliant that you're sharing this, because women that are listening to this, I trust that there's many of them saying, "Oh my gosh, I know exactly what that is, and that's what I'm feeling." So, what did you do?
Well, I mean, for 10 years ago, I was in limbo because I was trying to
Yeah,
fix myself. That's a solution that we all look at, is we kind of look
right.
at what's wrong with me. How
Exactly.
can I fix myself? So, I was attending classes, reading books, all in the sense of trying to fix myself
Hmm.
until a moment kind of came of what if there's a different way? Like I looked in the mirror one day and didn't recognize who was standing back. And a lot of us, especially women, as you say, we go on and on. We function. We're in this facade aspect, or as I like to say sometimes, we put a mask on and we hide so much, and we're even hiding from our own selves.
Yeah.
And so much of it is we want to run away from the pain. We want the pain to stop.
Yeah.
And at times we may be even looking for someone to save us. And in some
Hmm.
ways, that's where the fixing comes in. We want someone else to say, this is how we can fix you. This is how we're going to do it.
Hmm.
And in reality, we are our own saviors.
Yep.
And that's
Yep.
by listening to our own inner wisdom. It's our own
Yep.
intuition, or if you want,
Yep.
like the divine, the universe,
Yeah.
but it has to come from within us. And my message basically said, what if grief doesn't go away and it stays with you?
What a great question.
And that, I mean, for some people, because that's the aspect of when we're in grief, we have this heaviness and we're so afraid that that's what's going to be what the rest of our life is.
Yeah.
And we're afraid of healing because healing, we're told to get over it, move on, all of these things. And healing feels like we're going to be forgetting what happened.
Right.
So it's almost like a this or that. Which one are you going to
Right.
choose? Are you going to heal and
Right.
forget? Or are you going to continue on the path that says you're going to carry in this heaviness? And my fear was like, oh, I'm going to be turning into one of those old ladies that people go, oh, you should have seen her beforehand, but when her son died, she changed. This is what she is now, a shell of herself.
Yeah. You said something a minute ago. I'm going to paraphrase it. We want to go back to the way that it was, but it's almost, I want to paraphrase it and say, we want to go back to the normal, whatever normal is. There is no such thing as normal. And yet we will never recreate, even today, we're not going to be the same as we were yesterday. I love the phrase, you can never stand in the same river twice. And so
Mm,
part of that is really incorporating, how do I build a new version of my life? And so what did you do? You heard this question, what if grief never leaves you? And you
yeah.
sat with that. What was the answer? What was the movement forward that
Well, the
you got
movement
into?
was that I felt lighter when it came to me that grief was going to stay with me forever. Rather than making it a heavier burden, it felt like something had lifted. It
Wow.
was okay to say I was being vulnerable. It was okay to say I'm hurting, like to really acknowledge my feelings. And of course, it's not going to be like, oh, one day I'm here hurting, and then this aha moment, and now it's like, oh wow, I'm enlightened.
Yeah,
There
exactly.
isn't. It's still a slow journey. And grief
Sure.
is really walking. It's a journey that we take.
Hmm.
And so in that journey, it came slowly to me where it is walking with grief. And that's where I learned that I'm carrying the love and loss in one breath. It's not
Yeah.
different. It's basically, and I put it down to this. When we're in stress, when we're carrying something that's a burden, it's like we're holding our breath. And we keep holding it and we try to hold on it longer and longer. And it does affect our bodies. It comes out in different ways. And to release it is the exhale.
That is such a powerful statement. And for anybody that works out, which I do, it is so, it is multiple levels of stress when you're lifting weight and you're holding your breath. The key ingredient to any kind of workout is the breath. And so just this idea that grief is the same way, that you can hold on to something so tightly, to that pain, that you literally are not breathing. And
Mm.
that is the essence of life. So that is such a gorgeous metaphor and a gorgeous understanding of what this truly is that I can just imagine that holding on so tightly constricts everything, including this life-giving force called breath. So thank you for that.
Well, thank you. And that's
So,
how I came up with the care framework
mhm.
in
Okay,
working.
share about that.
Yeah.
Share about that.
So care is the acronym for C is
Hmm.
compassion, compassion for ourselves of what we've
Hmm.
experienced. Right? Because all of us at one time or another have experienced loss to an
Yeah,
extent. And we're very compassionate to other people, not
sure.
to ourselves. So it's not the compassion of saying, okay, you got this, like that positive
Yeah,
kind of thing. It's the compassion that says, okay, you're sitting in some crap. It's
yeah,
okay.
yeah.
That kind of aspect. And then the A is for acknowledge. The acknowledgement of your thoughts, of your feelings without judgment. We are one of our worst people in the regards of judging ourselves. Women
Hmm.
sometimes even more so, right? We have this list of what a perfect mother or a perfect woman or a perfect CEO or whatever it is, and we always seem to fall short of that.
Hmm.
And yet it's not. We are being who we are. So it's acknowledging, but not judging ourselves. And then the R is to release. Release the guilt that we're carrying, whether it's imagined or real, the regrets, the what ifs. And sometimes when we are experience something or we feel that we're not good enough, we put shame on our own selves.
Hmm.
Like all of a sudden, oh, well, I can't do this. Oh, and then all of a sudden it's like we need to stop shaming ourselves. And that's where the release comes in. And then, of course, the E is the exhale because we're holding on to this all that we need to
Hmm.
breathe and let it out. And breath is actually energy.
Yeah, it's
And
so
that's
powerful.
and that's what it is that grief is also energy too. Because a lot of times when a griever first laughs, We find something
Mm-hmm.
funny. We find, we're relaxing. We have a laugh. What we're going to hear from others that are around us, like, oh, wow, you're better now. You're over
Yeah.
it. And all of a sudden,
Mm-hmm.
we're guilty again
Yeah.
because we laughed. And that's why it's love and loss in one breath, because there's so
Mm-hmm.
many different emotions and we feel them all at the same time. And breath and exhaling is
Mm-hmm.
life.
Mm-hmm.
It's
I'm
energy.
so struck by I'm so struck by this framework, I'm going to call it that, of care in juxtaposition of the other one that has been on the books about grief. So you get denial and anger and the seven stages, the five stages, I don't even know what they are at this point of grief.
Because actually the care framework or the care method, I like that. The care method can work
Yeah.
in with any losses.
Anything. Yeah.
Anything, all right? I always go, grief is my lane. And
Yeah.
because loss and grief is a huge umbrella. We all know that. You can lose
Yes.
your job,
Yeah.
there's identity. So there's a lot of things that cross over.
Yeah, exactly.
And for one, I do make it my personal lane of the loss of a person, especially a child.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
That now, do I branch out when I'm on one-on-one? Of course, if someone wants to work with me, because I do offer a complimentary heart-to-heart call in regards
Hmm.
of saying, am I the right fit for you?
Sure.
Because
Yeah.
one of the aspects of when we're working with someone, you need to make sure that you can be comfortable with them because you're going to be sharing things that maybe you've never shared with anyone else. You're
Yeah.
also going to say things that if someone else were to hear them, they'd go, what the heck?
Hmm.
Sort of aspect. And so it has to be that safe space. And that's what I
Hmm.
create and hold for people is the safe space of you can say whatever you want.
Hmm.
And this is what I tell my clients. If you want to spend the whole hour crying, go right ahead. If you want to
Hmm.
spend the whole hour being angry and yelling, that's acceptable too. It's what do you need right now?
Right. Yeah.
And
And
we're not given that permission.
exactly, that's what I was going to say. We're not given that permission. So just that in and of itself is so healing.
Mhm.
Hmm.
Yeah. And the other thing is too is I'm allowing a person to say tap into your expertise. I'm the expert in my grief. You're going to be the expert in your grief. And it's not for me to fix you, and it's not for me to give you advice of what you're going to do because we're all unique. The relationship is unique. And what one person needs is going to be different. So, as you said earlier, there was the book when we had the five stages. And realistically, Elizabeth Kubler-Ross had
That's who it
actually
was.
written
Yep.
it out for the dying. She thought it was the dying that the dying went through the
Oh,
five steps.
interesting.
And then they took
Yeah.
that going, okay, that must be for grief. And even for the dying, they don't have these five steps. Yes, I mean, let's face it, how many times have we bargained? I mean, if people are praying, it doesn't matter what it is, whether we're in a relationship, how many people have gone, well, let me stay with this person and I'll do this and this sort of thing. So
Hmm.
we've done it in a lot of aspects in our lives
Hmm.
at any given time. And so to say that these are like finite steps, and then once you check this box off, you
Yeah,
can then
exactly.
go into the next one. It's almost like saying, this is my career. When you're
Exactly.
at a job and, okay, I passed all of these now. Now I can go
Hmm.
into the,
The next step. Hmm.
yeah,
Yeah.
grief doesn't work that way. Neither does loss.
No. How did you feel the call to do this work? I mean, I know you went through your own, but then what was the impetus for you to say, I think I can help other people?
Yeah, the impetus was more in regards of if I didn't want anyone else to lose 10 years of their life.
Mhm.
Because in some ways, it's like sleepwalking, you know?
Yeah.
It's from here and here. And realistically, the 10 years, I have no idea what was there. It's like a blank. And that's sometimes when we think of when we're sleepwalking, we don't know what happened in that middle part.
Right.
And I kind of felt I didn't want anyone else to experience that, to lose years. And the other aspect was more to say, you know what? Like we have this wrong about grief. Why don't we shift of what it's like and to have these conversations? Because realistically, anyone who goes into, I always will say, if you want to clear a room out really quickly, tell them you're a griever or start talking about your person and people start going, okay, how do I leave fast enough?
Yeah. Hmm.
Right? And it's that aspect. And I've gone to different functions and the first thing people will go, "Oh, Maria, I want you to meet so and so because you'll have you have something in common." And it's like, "Okay." And the next thing you do it's kind of like, "Oh, you lost a child, they lost a child." And you're kind of
Hmm.
like, that's not really a commonality. Yes, we've had a similar experience, but
Hmm.
its commonality would be, hey, you both like skiing, or you both like
Yeah.
knitting, or you both like
Right.
reading, you like going to the movies or traveling. Those are commonalities.
Hmm. That
Grief,
has to be a really interesting dynamic to have that experience of where people think that's a commonality for you.
yeah, it's almost like, well, we're going to sit there and we're going to compare.
It's
Like, seriously.
I guess I haven't never had that opportunity to be in a room with somebody doing that, but I see how people are because it is, as you said, it makes people uncomfortable. They don't, you'll clear a room because they're uncomfortable.
Hmm.
It's fascinating how when people get uncomfortable, my mom gets uncomfortable if I cry, right? And I know that about her, and she wants to shut it down. Men do that sometimes with women. But when we have certain experiences in life, other people, their uncomfortableness makes them want to run away generally. And so how do you address that with your clients that are going through this grieving process where other people are uncomfortable, because you can get, you can help them move through the process themselves. I don't want to call it a process, through life, and then find their own sense of balance again. And yet the world isn't necessarily going to do that. How do you support them with that?
Yeah. One is about, I focus more on the person. What someone else thinks of their grief is none of their business,
Okay, so that's
right?
just that's the lay of the
That's
land
just
there.
because
Yeah.
part of it isn't because as grievers or anyone who has experienced loss or anything and wanting to make other people comfortable, one of the
Hmm.
aspects is to stop that, is to basically say,
Yeah.
what is your comfort? What do you need? And you are going to surround yourself with people who are supportive. And if they are
Hmm.
not supportive, then people have to make that choice of do they want them in their lives or they don't,
Right.
or how much of a
Right.
relationship do they want with those people?
Hmm.
Because in some instances, again, it's having that boundary of what is
Yeah.
best for your own self. And that
Yeah.
isn't selfish, it is
Hmm.
actually self-care and self-love. Because a lot
Yeah.
of times we feel like we got to give to everybody else,
Sure.
and it's lacking for our own selves, and we're not taking care of ourselves. So it
Hmm.
comes back to saying, put yourself first. What do you need?
Yeah,
And
that's brilliant. No, go on. I
oh, and I
just
was going to
I
say,
keep wanting
and
to
then
interject here.
depending on sort of the season of where we're at, because sometimes when we're in the rawness of grief, it's challenging to be around other people. And it is a journey of, and a lot of times it's because it's a wound. Grief is a wound. When you've experienced
Mhm.
loss, it is a wound.
Yep.
And think about it when we have a wound on our body. It eventually heals and it leaves a scar. So what we are living life from now is we're living life from the scar. We're living it now from we want to have more love than the pain. And that's really why it comes up to for me when I believe that love and loss are in the one breath. Because
Mhm.
when we've experienced loss, we carry it with us. And to say that we're going to magically give it up and forget about it and it's not going to hurt us, of course we're going to remember. I mean, I'm sure many of us remember things even from our childhood
Yeah.
that hurt us.
Hmm. Absolutely.
However, now we can look at it and some of us still carry that pain because we haven't released it. No one has ever witnessed it, and we've never been able to say that we were hurt or what we felt at that time.
I think that is so profound that we all have these memories, and I mean, I on a daily basis I'll have a memory flash from way back when I was little, and I think, where did that come from? And some of them, they're just fleeting because it was triggered by something that happened. But at the same time, there are those wounds that we haven't released and haven't been, and I love that word. That's one of my favorite words, is witnessed. So I think one of the things that I'm pulling from you is that you are witnessing
Mhm,
for these beautiful people, these souls that are coming to you, their pain. Because one of the things that when we're lost and we have this pain, even if it's from our childhood, if somebody doesn't witness it, we're holding it all ourselves.
mhm.
So I just think this is, it's a soul journey that you're on, to be that witness and to be that safe space for these amazing souls that are going through this. I'm so in awe of the work that you're doing. It's
Well,
just really
thank you.
beautiful.
And it is. I mean, I see it as a gift, and that's why I say it's a
Yep.
call. Because
Yep.
I'd never set out to
Sure.
say grief is going to be my lane.
It
None of
wasn't on your check.
it's not on my. I think when I grow up, I want to.
Yeah, no. Yeah,
So
exactly.
it is a calling, and I look at it as some people have the calling of the beautiful voice and they become singers,
Yeah.
right? Or artists. And
Hmm.
so it is a calling where I can actually, as you say, witness someone else. And because I know I had a client ask me that, going, Maria, like when I'm in pain and I'm sharing it, like, what do you do? And I go, because I don't take your pain on.
Right.
Your pain is your pain, and I'm not taking it on. I am
Hmm.
witnessing your pain, and I'm giving you permission to share it out loud.
Hmm. That is so beautiful. So, if somebody wanted to work with you that's listening, what is the best way? All of your information that you sent to me is going to be in the show notes. So, your website and socials and all of that. But what is the best way that somebody would want to step into this? Because I don't know this, but I'm getting a sense that it's hard for somebody when you're in the grieving process to reach out, right?
Mhm.
Because we are so closed down and feel like we have to hold it all of ourselves. So what's the best way, the easiest way to connect with you that they would feel safe as well?
Okay, so the easiest way is to email me at hope@mariabelanic.com. And
Okay.
I do. I mean, if someone says, I just want to talk, I do have, as I say, a complimentary heart to heart call, just so that way they can talk and they can then see, am I the right fit for them?
Right.
Because a lot of times it's a personality aspect.
Sure.
And it's nothing personal.
Mm.
It's just at times we may seem like, oh, no, you're not the right fit, or yes, I am the right fit.
Right.
And so there's no judgment on a person of whether they want to work with me or not. It's
Yeah.
really where are they at in their journey and
Yeah.
who's
I
the right person for them.
Yeah, we had this discussion. I feel like I've had all these podcast recordings today, and we've been talking about the exact same thing on totally different planes, but talking about nobody is for everybody. Like, that's
Yeah.
a marketing strategy as well. But
Hmm.
people think that, like, if somebody doesn't like me, and I'm like, no, you're just not their cup of tea. So that's
Well,
beautiful.
and I can say it from as a past realtor, well, is that we do have this aspect that when I was a realtor and people didn't work with me, it was like, why? Why aren't you working with me?
Right.
All right. So in some businesses, yes, we do in some ways take it internally, take it personally. I was talking to somebody who in finances who kind of went the same thing. We were joking about that. When it comes to grief work, I
Yeah,
totally understand, and I do
no
not take it
matter.
personal.
Yeah, for sure. Well, it's 2026, which I think
Mm.
is just such a fabulous year. There's all this energy bubbling up to the surface. I believe it's feminine energy. And I ask all of my guests since January 1st, what is the best wisdom that you can give? And frankly, this is going to be directed specifically to women that are in any kind of grief right now, that maybe it's a nugget of hope, maybe it's wisdom. What is your intuition telling you that your best nugget that you can give to the listeners to this podcast today
It's to
for
trust yourself.
2026?
Yeah, basically, it's
Trust.
trust yourself. You are
Mm,
your own expert.
yeah. That is that transcends every layer of everything in our lives too. That
Hmm.
I love that phrase. I'm going to start using that. You are your own best expert. That is
Hmm.
so brilliant. So, well, all right, Maria, I really, really think this has been so fantastic. And I just, like I said, you are a light. You are doing God's work. I am so blessed that you chose to come and spend your afternoon with us, because I know that there's magical women out there that are just waiting for you. So thank you so much.
And Deborah, I appreciate and I love the message that you are giving to your audience in supporting them and enlightening them of what is out there and what the differences are, because there is so much different and there is no one size fits all. So I thank
Yeah.
you.
Yeah. Okay. Let me turn the recording off.